It is the 9th of May, 2026. Anfield is packed. Liverpool need points. Chelsea, who came into this match on a 6-game losing run in the Premier League, are the visitors. On paper, this should be comfortable for the home side, but football does not care about paper. Liverpool are missing significant firepower. Mohamed Salah is absent. Florian Wirtz is not available. Hugo Ekitike is not available. Alexander Isak starts on the bench. Into that attacking void steps a 17-year-old who came through Chelsea's academy, Rio Ngumoha. And within 6 minutes, this teenager produces the assist that gives Liverpool the lead. Ryan Gravenberch receives the ball and fires home a stunning long-range effort. The ground erupts, but this story, it is far from over. Here is what was truly at stake in this match. Liverpool have still not secured Champions League qualification for next season. Let that sink in for a moment. One of the biggest clubs in European football, playing at home against the Chelsea side that had lost 6 consecutive Premier League games, and the result is a 1-1 draw. The implications of that are enormous. Every drop point now carries extra weight. And in a game where Liverpool needed all 3 points, the manager made a substitution in the 67th minute that removed the player who, by every measurable statistic on the day, was Liverpool's most effective attacker. That decision did not just cost Liverpool momentum, it cost Arne Slot the trust of the Anfield crowd, at least for that afternoon. If you want this level of detailed, honest, and evidence-based analysis on everything happening at Liverpool Football Club, hit that subscribe button right now and join the Victor Liverpool analyst community. We do not do clickbait here. We do the work. What Rio Ngumoha actually did 2 minutes onwards. Let us start where this story truly begins, with the numbers. Because in football, numbers do not lie. Against Chelsea on this day, Rio Ngumoha completed 12 out of 13 passes. He won 6 duels. He won possession 5 times. He completed 4 successful take-ons. He had 4 touches inside the opposition box. He won 2 fouls. He created 1 chance, and he provided 1 assist. That is his game by the numbers. Now let me put that into context for you. No Liverpool player on that pitch won more duels than Rio Ngumoha. 6 duels won. Not one of the senior players. Not one of the experienced internationals. A 17-year-old boy led the entire Liverpool team in duels won. He also led the team in ball recoveries with 5, and he led the team in completed take-ons with 4. Those are the facts, and those facts make what happened at the 67th minute all the more difficult to understand from the outside. Now let us talk about the goal, because the goal tells you everything about what kind of player this boy is. Peter Crouch, a man who played the game at the highest level for many years and who watched this moment unfold with his own eyes, was clear in his assessment. He said, and these are the words used to describe the moment, that the touch was amazing and that it just opened the play out completely. He identified Rio Ngumoha as Liverpool's main danger in that game. He said that every time the ball reaches Ngumoha, he looks like he is about to beat his fullback or beat a defender. And he highlighted the key detail. Cole Palmer, one of Chelsea's most talented and experienced attackers, did not want to engage with Ngumoha defensively. He chose not to challenge him. And because of that, Ngumoha got the pass off and made the correct decision. That is the analysis of a former professional who played at the top level. That is not a fan being emotional. That is a football man recognizing quality. At only 17 years of age, Rio Ngumoha recorded an assist against the very club that let him go. Chelsea, he came through their academy, they released him, and he walked back into Anfield wearing red and showed them exactly what they gave away. The historical significance of this boy. Now here is where this story becomes genuinely historic, and I want you to pay close attention. The record for the most Premier League appearances made by a Liverpool player before turning 18 years old belongs to Michael Owen. 18 appearances. That record has stood for decades. The second highest tally is shared by Raheem Sterling with 17 appearances. And now, as of this match, Rio Ngumoha has also reached 17 Premier League appearances for Liverpool before turning 18. He is joint second on that list. He is 1 appearance away from equaling Michael Owen's all-time record. And there is still time left in the season for him to break it entirely. Think about who those names are. Michael Owen, Raheem Sterling, 2 players who went on to become household names in world football, 2 players whose early appearances at Liverpool were signs of extraordinary natural talent. Rio Ngumoha is now in that conversation at 17 years old. And there is another statistical layer to this that Opta Joe highlighted after the match. The Ngumoha's assist for Gravenberch's opening goal was part of the 55th goal either scored or assisted by a teenager in the Premier League this season. That is the most in a single campaign since the 2006 to 2007 season, when there were 58 such contributions. This current generation of young players is producing at a rate not seen in almost 20 years, and Rio Ngumoha is at the very centre of that story. The substitution that divided Anfield. Now we get to the moment that everyone is talking about, the 67th minute substitution. With the score level at 1-1 and Liverpool searching for the goal that would give them 3 points they desperately need for Champions League qualification, Arne Slot made his move. He brought on Alexander Isak in place of Rio Ngumoha. The reaction from the stands was immediate. Liverpool supporters greeted the decision with a chorus of boos, not polite disagreement, not quiet frustration. Boos, loud and clear, from the Anfield crowd. The Athletic reported that this was Ngumoha's third Premier League start of the season, and that he had been particularly lively against his former club, especially in the first half when he was able to get on the ball. The publication also noted something important about why the fans were specifically angry. It was not simply that Ngumoha was taken off, it was who was left on the pitch while he walked to the bench. Cody Gakpo remained on the field, and the numbers around Gakpo's performance that day were stark. He had failed to register a single shot in the game. He had only managed one touch inside the opposition box before he himself was eventually substituted 11 minutes after Ngumoha in the 78th minute. The supporters at Anfield felt that if a change was needed, the change should have been Gakpo, not Ngumoha. And looking at the statistics from both players on that day, it is very difficult to argue against that feeling. Ngumoha, 12 out of 13 passes, 6 duels won, 4 take-ons completed, 4 touches in the box, 1 assist, and Liverpool's leading player in duels, recoveries, and take-ons. Gakpo, 0 shots, 1 touch in the opposition box. The contrast is clear, and Anfield made sure Arne Slot knew they saw that contrast. Arne Slot speaks, and the truth changes everything. Now, here is where this story takes an important turn. And this is why, as an analyst, it is critical to gather all of the information before rushing to judgment. Because there is a detail that changes the entire picture. After the match, Arne Slot was asked directly about his decision to substitute Rio Ngumoha. And his answer was revealing. He said, "I don't think it was some of them," referring to the boos. "There were a lot that didn't agree with the change, which is completely understandable." He then gave the reason. He said Ngumoha was having problems with his muscles, and when he asked the player directly, the 17-year-old told him he was not sure he could continue. Slot then acknowledged, "I knew this would be the reaction because he is such a good player. So often in football, people don't know everything. I am the manager, and I need to make decisions. Knowing why makes it more sense for people." That is a significant revelation. If Rio Ngumoha himself told his manager he was not sure he could continue, then the substitution was not a tactical misjudgment. It was a protective decision. And in that case, keeping him on the pitch would have been the wrong call. The muscle concern, communicated by the player himself to the manager on the sideline, changes the context completely. However, and this is an important distinction, the fans in the stadium did not have that information at the time. They saw their best player being removed from a game that Liverpool needed to win, while a player who had been largely ineffective remained on the pitch. Their reaction was human. It was emotional. And from their vantage point, it was understandable. Slot acknowledged that openly. He said, "Completely understandable." He did not dismiss the fans or criticize their reaction. He explained the information gap and offered transparency. That is the response of a manager who understands his relationship with the fan base, even when the decisions he makes are misread in the moment. The bigger picture. Liverpool versus the Big Six. Now let us zoom out, because this result does not exist in isolation. It is part of a broader pattern that Liverpool supporters are deeply frustrated about. The evidence across the full season against what is commonly referred to as the Big Six is difficult to ignore. Liverpool's record against Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, Manchester City, Tottenham, and the second fixtures against each adds up to this: 2 wins, 4 losses, 4 draws, and the commentary around those 2 wins is blunt. 1 came from a free kick, 1 came against a side that had been reduced to 9 men. That is the reality of Liverpool's form against their top 6 rivals this season. 2 wins from 10 games against direct rivals. That record, combined with the fact that Champions League qualification is not yet secured, explains why the mood at Anfield has been tense. It explains why a substitution, in isolation perhaps manageable, became a flashpoint, because the crowd is not just reacting to one decision. They are reacting to an accumulation of decisions, results, and performances across a season that has not met expectations. The set-piece vulnerability. There is another piece of this story that cannot be ignored: how Chelsea equalised, and what it reveals about Liverpool as a team. Enzo Fernandez scored with a free kick from distance. Somehow it found the net. And when you look at Liverpool's defensive record from set pieces this season, it's a deeply concerning picture. Liverpool have conceded 18 set-piece goals in the Premier League this season, excluding penalties. Only Bournemouth have conceded more, with 37.5% of all the goals Liverpool have conceded this season have come from dead ball situations. That is the second highest proportion in the entire league. For a club with the resources and the coaching staff that Liverpool possess, that is a number that demands attention. It is not a coincidence anymore. When more than a third of your goals conceded come from situations where the ball is not in play and your team has time to organise, that points to a structural problem. Whether it is the defensive shape, the marking responsibilities, the height in the wall, or the positioning of the goalkeeper, something is consistently wrong. And the Chelsea equaliser on this day was simply the latest example of that ongoing vulnerability. Ryan, Gravenberch, and a season coming together in the middle of all this drama, it is worth taking a moment to acknowledge what Ryan Gravenberch has done this season. Because his goal against Chelsea was not just a beautiful strike, it was a landmark moment in his own career. Gravenberch now has 8 goal involvements in the Premier League this season, 5 goals and 3 assists. That is his most productive league campaign since the 2020-21 season at Ajax, when he had 8 involvements made up of 3 goals and 5 assists. But more than the comparison, this is the first time in his career that he has scored 5 league goals in a single season. He is setting personal records, he is growing. And his goal against Chelsea, a stunning long-range effort set up perfectly by a 17-year-old on the other wing, showed exactly the kind of player he is becoming. Arne Slot's pre-match words on Ngumoha. Before the match even kicked off, Arne Slot gave some words about Rio Ngumoha that are now worth revisiting with the full context of the day in mind. Slot said, "He has played a lot in the last 3 to 4 months. He has done really well, so it is very nice to have him." He also acknowledged the attacking absences facing Liverpool, saying that all the goals Mohamed Salah had scored for the club were missing, alongside the unavailability of Wirtz and Ekitike. He noted that Isak was on the bench, and he pointed to Cody Gakpo, Jeremy Frimpong, and Rio Ngumoha as the attacking options available to him. The manager's words before the game showed appreciation for Ngumoha. They showed awareness of what the teenager brings, which is exactly why the substitution before Slot explained the muscle issue seemed so jarring to supporters who had heard those pre-match words and then watched Ngumoha be the best player on the pitch. Chelsea and the question of what they let go. There is a football story buried inside this football story, and it deserves its own moment. Rio Ngumoha is a product of Chelsea's academy. Chelsea developed him, Chelsea had him, and Chelsea let him go. He is now at Liverpool, wearing the number 73 shirt, producing assists against his former club, and closing in on historical records for Premier League appearances before the age of 18. ESPN UK made the observation plainly. Chelsea really let a great young talent go. And watching the 17-year-old operate against their first team on this day, it is very hard to argue with that. He was lively, direct, composed, and effective. He beat their players, created a goal, and left Cole Palmer unwilling to engage with him defensively. That is not a comfortable afternoon for the club that let him walk out of their academy. Final analysis and closing thoughts. So what do we actually take from all of this? Let me bring it together. Liverpool drew 1-1 with Chelsea. That result keeps them in an uncomfortable position regarding Champions League qualification. The champions of England last season are now fighting to ensure they are even in Europe's top competition next year. That is a story in itself, and it has not been resolved. The performance from Rio Ngumoha was, by every measurable standard, outstanding for a 17-year-old in a Premier League match. No Liverpool player won more duels. No Liverpool player made more ball recoveries. No Liverpool player completed more take-ons. He provided the assist for the only goal Liverpool scored. And he did all of this against a team he knows personally, a team that used to be his club. The substitution at 67 minutes caused a genuine backlash from the Anfield crowd. That backlash was understandable given what supporters could see on the pitch. Ngumoha performing well, Gakpo struggling, and the game's still level. However, Arne Slot's post-match explanation introduced critical information that was unavailable to fans in the moment. Ngumoha had a muscle concern. He told the manager himself he was unsure if he could continue. If that is accurate, then Slot made the correct protected decision, even if the crowd could not see it. The frustration, though, does not disappear simply because the substitution was medically justified. It feeds into a wider sense among Liverpool supporters that this season has fallen short, 2 wins from 10 games against the Big Six. A set-piece defensive record that is among the worst in the league. Champions League qualification still not secured. These are real concerns, and they sit alongside the individual brilliance of a 17-year-old who is about to break a record held for decades by Michael Owen. Rio Ngumoha is 1 appearance away from equaling the record and 1 appearance away from being in position to break it. He has already done something this season that Sterling managed and that Owen pioneered, and he is still only 17 years old. The story of this Liverpool versus Chelsea match is not just about 1 draw. It is about a teenager reminding an entire football club and the wider league of what genuine young talent looks like. It is about a crowd that loves their club deeply enough to boo when they feel decisions are wrong. It is about a manager navigating a difficult end to a difficult season with information the public cannot always see. And it is about a set of results against top 6 rivals that the club and its supporters will need to address very honestly when this season is done. That is the full picture. That is the analysis. Thank you for watching Victor Liverpool Analyst. If this video gave you a clearer, more complete understanding of what happened today, then subscribe to this channel because this is what we do here. We go past the headlines. We look at the numbers, the words, the context, and the implications. No shortcuts, no clickbait, just honest, serious football analysis. Leave a comment below telling me whether you think Arne Slot made the right call substituting Ngumoha. Knowing what you now know about the muscle concern, I want to read every response. And I will see you in the next video.